Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Hey guys, Marco here from Aero Live CS. Welcome back to my channel. And today, as I promised, I will be uploading the first Boeing 737 systems review video. In order to make these presentations better for you, I went to Dream Aero in Dubai Festival City Mall. And they have a beautiful Boeing 737-800Ng flight simulator. If you guys go there, you are going to have a really good time. I can tell you, I went there, I sat down with them, and what you're going to experience there is awesome. You will fly the airplane at night, daylight, rain, thunderstorms. You can simulate malfunctions, whatever you want. They can set everything for you. If you're a pilot, I think it's a good place to practice. If you are just an aviation fan, or if you're planning to study to become a pilot, you can go there and you can experience it. It's one of the most popular airplanes in the world, and you can actually fly it right there. They have instructors, they will guide you through the flight, and they are really good guys. I met them. They have Fatty, they have Mulhem, really good guys, and they will be happy to help you through the flights. So I want to thank them because they allowed me to sit down inside the cockpit and get some videos. I'm pretty sure that through these videos you're going to see the big picture. It's much better to see what happens inside the cockpit, and I'm happy they let me go there and get those videos for you guys. So I also want to thank Captain Pat Boone from the Boeing 737-800Ng, which is a very successful app, and they have a lot of information there about the Boeing 737. So I highly recommend you to get that app if you don't have it. For both from Dream Aero and from the 737-800Ng, I'm going to leave a link in the description below, so you can guys have access to their websites. So my intention with these videos is to sit down with you guys and review the systems. I'm not a Boeing 737 instructor. I just fly the airplane. I'm a first officer. I have been flying the airplane for the last 3 years. Yeah, so I'm gathering all the information I have got from my initial course, from my recurring courses, from ground schools, all the notes I got from those courses. I put this together, and I want to show you this information here in these presentations. So if you have any ideas, any comments, leave them below, please. If you have any idea how to improve these presentations, I will try my best to do it. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this first system. If you are not subscribed to my channel, please do it now and hit the bell so you will know once I upload a new video. Remember, I'm planning to upload a video every week. Let's get started. I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you soon. All right, guys. So we'll start today with the first system. But before we start, I just want to make sure that you guys know this presentation is for reference only, and it does not supersede or take the place of any written documents. Let's start with airplane general, emergency equipment, doors, windows, and instrument panels. First of all, we'll talk about the principal dimensions on the Boeing 737, and this is something that you don't need to know by memory. It's always there available on the FCOM Volume 2, but it's also good to have an idea of the size of your airplane. So the wingspan here is 35.79 meters, The length of the airplane is 39.5 meters. And the height of the airplane is 12.5 meters. Now we'll talk about the turning radius. And this is important to know. During this presentation, I'm going to try to tell you the most common exam questions we can find. And this one is one of them. This small note here, the minimum width of pavement for 180 degrees turn is 24.3 meters. So that's a very common exam question there. So this note here says the wingtip swings the largest arc while turning and determines the minimum obstruction clearance path. All other portions of the airplane structure remain within this arc. So you can see the arc here for the wingtip. And then you can also see that everything remains inside that arc. Now, something which is good to know, the main gear strut is about 1.2 meters or 4 feet inside the center of the engine. So that's probably important to know if you're doing or making a turn in a narrow taxiway or runway. Other thing that you guys probably know, but I thought about sharing it, is the number of stripes on the runway indicates the width of that runway. So if you see 8 stripes like we see here, that means that that runway is 30 meters wide. If you see 12 stripes, it means that that runway is 45 meters wide. Now we'll talk about the panel arrangement of the Boeing 737. And I'll show you a video I got in Dream Aero's Boeing 737-800. So here we go. Okay guys, let's talk about the panel arrangement on the Boeing 737-800. And we'll start from the top here where we can see the aft overhead panel. If we keep going down, we'll see the forward overhead panel right here. In this panel, you can notice 4 panels, they have a light gray color. And those are the major systems on the airplane. From the left, we start with the fuel system here, electrical system right here, hydraulic system, and we have the bleed air system here. If we keep going down, we'll see the glare shield panel. Here we have the EFIS control panels, one on each side, and we have the autopilot and flight director controls. On the left side, for the captain, we have the left forward panel, and then we have the center instrument panel here, and the right forward panel for the first officer. Right here we have the forward electronic panel. We have the control stand here, and we have the aft electronic panel. To the left side, we have the sidewall panel for the captain here. And then we have on the right side, we have the right sidewall panel for the first officer. There are a couple of panels we cannot see here, and they are circuit breaker panels. Actually, P6 is behind the first officer's seat, and circuit breaker panel P18 behind the captain's seat. This is the panel arrangement for the Boeing 737-800Ng. Now, we will talk about the aft flight deck overview. And you remember in that video I told you there are a couple of panels that we couldn't see there, the P6 and P18 circuit breaker panels, and you can see them here. So the circuit breaker panel P6 is behind the first officer seat, and you can see it here. And circuit breaker panel P18 is behind the captain's seat. There is a caution here, which is it's very important to know, and it says, do not allow the shoulder harness straps to retract quickly. Buckles can pull or damage circuit breakers, and this actually happens, guys. If you let those straps go, they retract really fast, and yeah, it happens. So be careful with that, please. And here we have some other panels names besides the circuit breaker panels P6 and P18. And I will stay on this slide for a few seconds here so you can read them. While you read that, I just want to tell you that another exam question we usually get is the location of the P6 and P18 circuit breaker panels. Before I forget to tell you that. So just remember, P6 behind the first officer seat, P18 behind the captain seat. Let's talk about the flight deck lighting. And as any other commercial airplane, or most of the airplanes, they have color code philosophy, and the 737 is not an exception. The red lights, they mean warning. The amber lights, they mean caution. The blue ones, they mean position. The green one is power on, and the white one is information. So if we lose the normal electrical power, what happens? We have a standby power, and it will provide power to the compass light, the dome lights. That, by the way, we have two dome lights in the cockpit, and each one is on the P6 and P18 panels. One bulb for the FO and two for the captain. So those dome lights, they get power from the standby power. Instrument floodlights and the selected warning and system info lights. So on the next slide, we're going to see a video about the flight deck lighting. So let's watch this video. Okay, we'll talk about the flight deck lighting on the Boeing 737-800Ng. And we'll start from the top, where we see the dome light in the aft overhead panel. Dome light is a 3-position switch. And we'll see dim here, off, and bright. Down on the forward overhead panel, we see the circuit breaker panel brightness control. We cannot see it here, but here it is bright, and then to the left is dim. The panel brightness control for the forward overhead panel, we can go bright, and then we can go dim here. In the same panel, if we go down, we'll see the landing lights. And in the landing lights, we can see the retractable landing lights and the fixed landing lights. The retractable landing lights, they have 3 positions: off, extended, and on. It's good to know that if any of these lights they fail in the extended position, there is a fuel burn penalty of 1% per each extended light, and that's due to drag. To the right side, we'll see the fixed landing lights off and on. Here they're on and back to off. We'll see the runway turn off lights, and they illuminate an area to the side of the airplane. 2-position switch. Next, we have the taxi light. It's located in the nose wheel strut, and it turns with the nose wheel. And this light turns off automatically once the gear is off. If we move right, we'll see the logo light here. It's located on top of the horizontal stabilizer. We'll see the position lights, strobe and steady. Here we'll see the strobe lights on and the nav lights on. Off and steady. Steady, we'll see the nav lights only on. Anti-collision lights, we have 2 of them, one on top of the fuselage and the other one is at the bottom on the belly of the airplane. The wind light, mostly used at night to check if we have any ice accumulation on the leading edge of the wing. And then we have the wheel well light. It's used at night when we do the walk around to check the nose wheel well area. If we go to the left sidewall panel, right there for the captain, we'll see the chart and the map brightness control. On the left forward panel, we'll see the main panel brightness control. We can see it here. To the right side, we have the upper DU brightness control. It controls the brightness of this panel here, this DU, I'm sorry. And then we have the outboard DU brightness control for this DU. And then we have the inboard DU brightness control. And we see two knobs here. The outer one controls the brightness for the DU, and the inner one for the radar on this screen. Then we have the lower DU brightness control. It controls the brightness of this DU here. Then we have the background brightness control. We can move it here and you can see how it goes bright and dim. Right next to it, we'll see the autopilot flight director system brightness control, and you can see the light going bright and dim there. On the FO side, we can see the main panel brightness control right here. And then we have the inboard DU brightness control, exactly the same principle. The outer knob controls the DU brightness, and the inner one, the radar brightness when the radar is on. And then we have the outboard DU brightness control for this one here. On the side wall for the first officer, exactly the same as the captain, we have the map and chart brightness controls. Now let's go to the aft electronic panel, and here we can see the floodlight brightness control, and we can see it here. It goes bright and then dim. There you go. And to the right side, we can see the panel brightness control. That's for the aft electronic panel. There you go. Now, let's talk about the test switch, the light test switch. 3 positions for it. We have test, dim, and bright. So when we go to the test position, all the lights in the cockpit will come on. And then we can check if we are missing any lights, if there are any burnt bulbs, and then we can change them. We can see all of them coming on. So this is basically the flight deck lighting for the Boeing 737-800Ng. Now let's talk about the exterior lighting location. Now you saw where the switches are in the cockpit, and here you can see the location of those lights. So here we have the taxi light. Here we have the wing illumination lights on each side of the fuselage. On the belly of the airplane and almost in the root of the wing, we have the retractable landing lights. Here we have the runway turn-off lights and the fixed landing light. Here we have the upper and lower anti-collision light. They are red. Strobe lights, position lights, and the logo light here. Same thing for the other side. Now let's talk about the emergency exit lights and fasten belts. The switch is located in the forward overhead panel, and it's this switch here. Exit lights are located throughout the passenger cabin to indicate the approved emergency exit routes. In the arm position, as you can see here, the switch is a 3 positions switch: off, armed, and on. In the arm position, the emergency exit lights are normally extinguished. If electrical power to DC bus number 1 fails or AC power turn off, The emergency exit lights illuminate automatically. Now, if we talk about the fasten belts switch, we have three positions here: off, auto, and on. And pay attention, this is a typical exam question as well. In the auto position, the signs are controlled automatically by reference to landing gear and flap positions. They will illuminate when the flaps or gear are extended and will extinguish when flaps and gear are retracted. Now, before we talk about the doors, I want you to see this video about the lights panel for the doors. Let's watch that video. Okay guys, so we'll talk about the lights panel for the doors. And each door is monitored by one light. As you can see, the only light that covers two doors is the equip light. The equip light, it covers the E&E compartment external access door and the lower nose compartment access door, which is located in front of the nose landing gear. So this light is the only one covering two doors. Okay, now we will talk about the doors here. So we have two passenger entry doors. One cabin door, the flight deck passenger cabin entry, two service doors, and two cargo doors. So as you can see in this image from the FCOM Volume 2, the entry doors, the two passenger entry doors, are located to the left side of the airplane. Here you can see the forward entry and you can see the aft entry door. The two service doors and two cargo doors, they are located on the right side of the airplane, and you can see them here: forward service, aft cargo, and forward cargo. There is a central electrical and electronic E&E equipment access door, which is this one here. And we have the equipment compartment access door on the bottom of the airplane, which is this one here. Let me see. Right there, this one here. The flight deck number 2 windows. Now we're talking about the windows. You can see this one. This is number 2 for the first officer. And this is number 2 for the captain. There's one on the left and one on the right, and they can be opened by the flight crew. So those windows, they have a lock, and they lock in the open position. If you ever wonder why they locked in the open position, is because in case of evacuation on the airplane, and the airplane is in a nose down attitude, that window needs to remain open, and the only way to keep it open is with the lock. And only the first officer window can be opened from outside. There is an exam question here, and it's really important to know that do not operate the entry of service doors with winds at the door of more than 40 knots. Do not keep the entry or service doors open when wind gusts are more than 65 knots. Strong winds can cause damage to the structure of the airplane. Now, let's talk about the flight deck door. And here are the components of that system. So the flight deck door meets requirements for resistance to ballistic penetration and intruder entrance. When closed, the door locks when electrical power is available and unlocks when electrical power is removed. A viewing lens in the door allows observation of the passenger cabin. And you can see this viewing lens here. The flight deck access system consists of an emergency access panel, shine module, 3-position door lock selector, 2 indicator lights, and an access system switch. You can see the access panel here, flight deck emergency access panel. You can see the flight deck door lock panel, and that's located in the aft electronic panel. And this is the flight deck access system switch, which is located in the flight deck side door post. Illumination of the amber lock fail light, this light here, indicates the door lock has failed or the access system switch. This one is in the off position. Now let's talk about the emergency exit doors. And we have 4 Type 3 emergency exits, and they are located in the passenger cabin over the wings. So you can see them here. The overwing exit doors can be opened from inside or outside of the airplane by a spring-loaded handle at the top of the door. So here you can see the handle here. The 28-volt DC flight lock system is designed to ensure that the flight lock will automatically lock during takeoff, in flight, and landing, and unlock on the ground to allow for opening of the door in emergency situations. Exam question here. The overwing emergency exits lock when 3 of the 4 entry service doors are closed, and either engine is running, and the airplane air-ground logic indicates that the airplane is in the air, or both thrust levers are advanced. So 3 conditions that we need to meet in order for the overwing emergency exits to lock. The overwing emergency exits unlock when any one of the above conditions is not met or DC power is lost. Now we'll talk about the lower cargo compartments. So you can see the same picture we saw before, aft cargo and the forward cargo here. And those cargo compartments are Class C compartments. It means that they are designed to completely confine a fire without endangering the safety of the airplane or its occupants. These compartments are sealed and pressurized but do not have fresh air circulation and temperature control as do the upper passenger compartments. A pressure equalization valve is in the aft bulkhead of each compartment. The valves let only enough air flow into or out of the cargo compartments to keep the pressures nearly the same as the cabin pressure. And here we have the light for those cargo compartments, for the forward and the aft cargo. Now let's talk about the water system. The potable airplane water system is supplied from a single tank located behind the aft cargo compartment. Fresh water is supplied to the galleys and lavatory sinks. So here you can see we have the galley here and the other galley. We have the lav here, and we have the other lav. There is a quantity indicator, and you can see it here on this side. The water tank, and there's an external service panel that you can see here, and it is below the aft entry door. Okay, now we're going to talk about an important system here, which is the oxygen system. And first we can start with the components of this system. And to the right side, the top right, we see the oxygen mask and regulator, which is located at the crew member station. You can see the oxygen mask here and its components, and you can see the regulator here. We have the oxygen panel located in the aft overhead panel. We have the oxygen pressure here indicator and the pass on oxygen switch, which is normal or on, and we have the amber passenger oxygen light. Now, if we see the crew member station here, we have this. This is the mask. This is what we can see, and we are going to talk about these components in the next slide. Let's talk about the oxygen system, and then here you can see a diagram of how these components are located here. So we have the crew oxygen cylinder, and this cylinder, it comes in different capacities. So you need to know, if you need to know which one you have, you can double check the MEL of your company, and you can probably see the capacity. We have the overpressure discharge tube, or to the side of the fuselage. So if you, when you're doing the walk around and you check on the right side of the fuselage, you will see on the side there is a circle, and that's the overpressure discharge tube. You can see, you should see a green circle, and if you see a red one, that means there was an overpressure, and that's the time to call maintenance. So here we have the boxes and mask for the first observer, for the first officer, and for the captain. So the flight crew oxygen system uses a quick donning automatic pressure breathing masks, regulators, and they are located at each crew station. Oxygen is supplied by a single cylinder. Oxygen pressure is displayed on the indicator located on the aft overhead panel. Pressure may be as high as 8,850 psi. Oxygen flow is controlled by a regulator mounted on the oxygen mask, and we checked those components in the slide, in the previous slide, by pushing the normal 100 control lever, which is this one here. The regulator is adjusted from the air-oxygen mixture to 100% oxygen. By rotating the emergency test selector, which is hard to see here, but we'll see it in the next slide, this one here, the regulator is adjusted to supply oxygen under pressure. To shut off the oxygen, close the left oxygen mask door, which is this one here, this door, and push reset. This one here. Give me a second, this one here. This will also return the microphone selection from mask to boom. So now let's go to the next slide here, and here we are going to talk about what we see at the crew member station. This is the oxygen flow indicator here, this one here, and it indicates a yellow cross when oxygen is flowing. So if you see this yellow cross, that means that the oxygen is flowing. Now if we go to the test reset switch, this one here, if we push that one with the left oxygen mask panel door closed, with this door closed, and the oxy on flag not displayed, so if we press this one with this door closed and this flag not displayed, turns oxygen on momentarily to test the regulator. With the left oxygen mask panel door closed, with this door closed, and the oxy on flag displayed, we'll turn oxygen off and disable the mask microphone and enable the boom microphone. That's important to know. Oxygen mask release lever here, you can see we have two of them. When we squeeze and pull up, they release the mask from storage box, releases the oxy on flag when storage box doors open, activates oxygen and microphone, inflates a mask harness when inflation lever is squeezed. Flow indicator shows a yellow cross momentarily as harness inflates. So that's what each component of the oxygen at the crew member station does. Okay, let's talk about the oxygen mask test. And we'll start checking the oxygen panel. It needs to be set. That means that the mask is properly stowed and the normal 100% switch is in the 100% position here. Reset test slide lever, push down and hold, this one here, and we will observe a momentary yellow cross in the flow indicator. Emergency test selector, push and hold here, and we'll continue to hold the reset test switch and push the emergency test selector for 5 seconds. So why 5 seconds? Because this way we can empty the supply lines between the mask and the cylinder. And oxygen pressure should not decrease by more than 100 psi during this test. If the pressure drops by more than 100 psi, we could suspect that there is a partially closed oxygen cylinder shut-off valve. So that's the reason why we hold it for 5 seconds. So we've verified that the yellow cross shows continuously in the flow indicator. We verified that the crew oxygen pressure does not decrease more than 100 psi. If the oxygen cylinder valve is not in the full open position, pressure can decrease rapidly or decrease more than 100 psi or increase slowly back to normal. Release the reset test switch and the emergency test selector, and we'll verify that the yellow cross does not show in the flow indicator. So that's the way we check the oxygen mask. Passenger oxygen system. And the passenger oxygen generators will provide approximately 12 minutes of oxygen, and that's an exam question too. Passenger oxygen system requires power from battery bus. The system is activated automatically by a pressure switch at a cabin altitude of 14,000 feet. And that's another exam question, so pay attention to that one. Or when the passenger oxygen switch on the aft overhead panel is positioned to on. Passenger oxygen is chemical oxygen generators located in passenger service units, or PSUs, above each passenger row, flight attendant station, and lavatory. And there are 4 masks connected to each PSU. There are 2 masks for each flight attendant and lavatory service unit. Chemical reaction inside the PSU oxygen generator causes oxygen to be very warm. Pass Oxy On annunciator will illuminate when passenger oxygen has been activated, and only, pay attention to this, only indicates that power was sent to the door relays and not that they actually opened. Master caution and overhead on recall annunciators will also illuminate. Here you can see this picture of the PSU and its components. Okay, when system is activated, doors of the oxygen modules are unlatched and masks drop. If the door fails to open automatically, a thin object such as a pen can be inserted to manually drop the mask. Manually open flight attendant and lavatory doors can be done using a flat object such as a credit card to open it. Each mask connected to a lanyard, and pulling on the lanyard will pull a firing pin to start the oxygen generator. Once started, it cannot be shut down. A green inline flow indicator on hose will indicate the flow of oxygen, delivers a mix of oxygen and ambient air. And do not use the packed oxygen masks when cabin is below 14,000 feet and smoke or fire in cabin. And this is something I wanted to show you here. That's the portable oxygen bottles. They provide supplemental and first air oxygen. Emergency equipment location. Fire extinguishers in flight deck and passenger cabin. There are water fire extinguishers, chemical fire extinguishers, PBE, which is protective breath equipment. One is always located in the flight deck, and it is used as a protection when fighting a fire with halon fire extinguisher. So here you can see in this picture the location of the emergency equipment. Okay, let's talk about the flight deck seats now. The flight deck seats, you can see the picture there, and all the components and the controls on the seats. There are two seat types. We have the pilot seats and we have the first observer seat. The first observer seat is not very comfortable, especially for long flights. It's not good. Short flights is not an issue. It's probably it's not a big deal. The captain and first officer seats are adjustable, and the following controls are provided: seat height, thigh pad position, seat recline, armrest height and stowage, back cushion, lumbar support position, headrest position. Now, if we talk about the pilot seat adjustment, adjust the seat position with the appropriate controls to obtain the optimum eye reference position. Use the handhold above the forward window to assist. The following side references are used. Sight along the upper surface of the glare shield with a small amount of the airplane nose structure visible, and that's position A here. Sight over the control column in the neutral position until the bottom edge of the outboard display unit is visible. And you can see position B right here. Well, that's the end of the presentation for today. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, please do it now. And hit the bell so you know once I upload the next system. That will be next week, and we will continue with the air systems, and we will start with the bleed air system. If you think these videos could be useful for somebody else, please share it, and that way you will be helping me to grow this project. I hope to see you guys next week. Thank you.